we decided to do our summer kickoff show right out here in the middle of Times Square. We had one guest at the top of our list.
Yes, but we couldn't get him. So we went with the mayor. I'm kidding. Clearly he's a friend of the show here. If I can make that joke to the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, good to have you here, man.
Listen, just realize your earring is larger than mine.
Oh, my goodness. See? It's all good banter, man. It's good to see you, but good to see you smiling, people out here smiling. You know what? Before we get into numbers about tourism, what have you seen in the change the past couple years just to be here in New York and Times Square and to feel what we're feeling here?
Energy is unreal. I come out late at night. Sometimes I walk out here around 1 a.m. and just to see. This is like my indicator. The tourism is back. People are back. You know, the street vendors are harassing you again. But no, it's real energy.
And how has tourism been? I mean, we've seen obviously a lot of tourists come back, and that was the big stark reality of the pandemic. We were alone. It felt like Will Smith and I Am Legend, right?
That's
but
right.
now you see the tourists back. How are we doing in terms of the numbers?
No, great, and you're right. It did feel like that. I Am Legend. When you look at the fact that tourism for us in nightlife is a $72 billion industry. We need our tourists. Our hotels, which are real indicators, we're at a 96% pre-pandemic rate, so we're really getting there. Broadway is really capping out again, and it's really what draws people into the city. So all of those indicators that we look for are clearly showing we're moving in the right direction.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you talk about the tourists being drawn into the city. You actually need New Yorkers being drawn back into the city. You still have some pretty high vacancy rates in Midtown Manhattan for offices, and a lot of people not returning yet. How do you get those folks, the New Yorkers, who are also very important? We need them to spend their money down here as well.
Great question. We ticked up from, we were at 30%. We ticked up to around a little over 40% office occupancy, but there's also an indicator on our subway system. We went over 3 million riders. We're showing that we are moving in the right direction, but it's about safety. People must feel safe, and they must ensure that they can get back to the office in a real way, and that's why we're really putting our deployment plan inside the subway system.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I am a loyal subway rider every day. Everyone makes fun of me, but I walk right over there. I take the one train home, and it is a marked difference since before the pandemic. There are very few people. It's a lot less people than I'm used to seeing. And you're right, it's safety. People say, you're crazy, what are you doing? It's not safe. How do you combat that?
Well said, well said. And see, you ride the subway because you're a tough New Yorker.
Exactly.
But when you look at it, like I stated, one day we had almost 3-point-something million riders. And when you have those cases that are high profile, someone's pushed to the subway system, someone is harassed on the subway system, it really hurts our feeling of safety. So we have to do a combination. We have to make people feel safe, and that's the omnipresence of police officers. And then we have to go after those small 6 crimes average we get a day. We didn't want to get those 6 crimes a day down to 0 crimes. And we're doing that by how we deploy our police officers, the omnipresence, having them on the trains, so people can feel comfortable again as they take their commute.
I know you mentioned some of the indicators. Some of it is just energy being down here, and you know it, and you talked about some of the numbers. But what is the next big indicator you're looking at for New York City? Like, I really need this number. I need this to get to this point to make us still feel like we're making the next step.
Yes, no, great question, because you indicated office space. When people are in the office spaces, they're not only occupying that office, they're going down to the local diner. Their spouses and loved ones are going to the theater. That's a magnet for us all. When we get up to 60, 70% of office occupancy, you see a different energy in all the businesses that feed, because you got to go to the cleaners. You have to get your hair done, your nail done. You have to do all those things that feed that other economy, and that's a big push. Now, we're going to have a different work environment post-pandemic. We got that. But we have to look at other areas to compensate it. So we want to have a 7-day-a-week tourism industry to boost those numbers with the loss in those who are going to be in offices.
And Mayor, in terms of getting the occupancy up, getting the tourists back in full force, safety, as you mentioned,
Yes.
is a huge concern. And unfortunately, the crime statistics aren't great for this past year. Crime's up, I believe, 37% from this time last year. What are you doing to combat that? Obviously, you're no stranger to the police force and figuring out a way. You say there are many ways and many rivers that feed the sea of violence.
Yes.
How are you going about combating it?
Right, and as you know, it's a national problem. Every time we read it, we're seeing in our urban centers an increase. The Supreme Court may come down with a ruling today that's going to hurt us with the open carry law. But we are deploying all of our resources for prevention and intervention. Intervention is right now. Our neighborhood safety teams, when you look at over 3,000 guns we removed off our streets, not only the physical appearance of disorder, but also how people feel. Our subway safety plan, we took off almost 1,700 people who are living on our subway system encampments. We put them into safe haven housing, and we're zeroing in on those quality of life issues. But we do need help. We need help from the federal government, state lawmakers, our judges, our criminal justice system. Everyone must be a partner in keeping our city safe. We're going to do our part, but we need those other arms of the criminal justice system.
Well, look, we know you got a big job, and your time is precious, and you always show up for us. We do appreciate you taking some time with us as we kick off the summer. And again, an indicator here of just how well this city is doing to hear sirens and horns and voices and babies crying and fights and profanity, all that stuff. Love New York. Mr. Mayor, good to see you.
To all the people here who are tourists, we only have one ask. Spend money.
You got it. They love that. All right. Thank you, Mayor Adams.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.